Sunnahfollowers, protectors of the Sunnah. Sunnahfollowers, protectors of the Sunnah. In alhamdulillah wa salat wa salam ala wa rasulullah. Inshallah, we're going to go ahead and get started on the class for today. And we are continuing with the topic of prescribed punishments in Islam. And as we talked about yesterday, and it was on the quiz today, there are certain punishments or certain crimes. Whereas if you were living in an Islamic state, the punishment must be carried out against. And these are crimes, and the punishment has been defined for them by Allah in the Quran. And there's no getting around that punishment. Okay? For example, if a person steals, he has to lose his right hand if he's caught. Okay? This is Allah is the one that sets these punishments up. And the reason why that he only chose certain crimes to give his command on is because these are crimes that not only violate the rights of an individual, but society as well. Remember, guys, we're supposed to be able to live within peace and harmony in our society. It is the job of the government or the ruler to assure that everyone is protected within that society and their property is protected. Remember, I told you guys, contrary to what many Muslims in America fail to understand, we do not believe in a democracy. Islam is not about a democracy. We believe in a republic. We believe in a state. We believe in a caliphate. It's the job of the ruler to assure that everyone is able to live in peace and harmony in society. And there are certain crimes that impact that. Certain crimes, if committed, can impact your security, can impact your safety, your harmony, your peace within society. And that's why Allah has given punishment for them. And the number one is, we talked about, is murder. Murder is one such crime. That's why the murderer is executed. The murderer is executed if he intentionally does it and found guilty, he's executed. Because society doesn't need this. We don't need somebody running around killing people because he's got some issues. Okay? Well, there's another crime that Allah has prescribed punishment for, and this is the crime of zina, which in English means adultery. Now, let me explain something, because the Arabic language is different than the English language. In English, when we talk about adultery, we're talking about a married person having sex outside of marriage. Well, in Arabic, adultery not only encompasses that, but it also encompasses fornication. It also encompasses homosexuality. It also encompasses incest, rape. All of that is zina. Okay? All of that is adultery. Okay, so basically, if I were to define what adultery is in English, from the Arabic point of view, it's having sexual intercourse in an unlawful manner. Okay, and that's why it includes incest. That's why it includes fornication. That's why it includes homosexuality, because all of these things are forbidden for us. Okay? And Allah has made it kind of hard, because Allah knows the nature of the human being. He knows us. He's our creator. He knows that we can get mad and make allegations about a person and say, oh, Layla's having sex with the next door neighbor. And it may not be true. A woman can get mad at her husband and accuse him of cheating on her when there is no proof. It ain't true. A girl can accuse her father of incesting her to get back at him when it may not be true. So this is why Allah made it hard to prove for adultery. Okay, you have to have witnesses. To make the allegation of adultery, you have to have witnesses. Okay, witnesses who have seen the person actually doing the action. And not only that, if the person's found guilty of the crime of adultery, then the judge or his deputy in this case must witness the execution. You guys understand that? And I remember yesterday we talked about how in certain things like theft, so if somebody steals, he doesn't have to, the judge doesn't have to witness it. He can appoint his deputy to carry out the execution. Okay, and also the execution must be witnessed by some believers as well. And that's what Allah means when he says, and let a group of believers witness the punishment. And again, after murder, adultery is one of the most grievous crimes. Because not only does it impact you, but it impacts society. You're spreading disease, exposing the society to diseases. Also, it can destroy a family. It can destroy a person if it's rape. It can destroy a woman's self-esteem and herself. So this is why Allah has said about such horrific punishment for actions of adultery. And again, they're different. And in regards to a married person having sex outside of wedlock, the punishment is death. But for a person that's not married and has punishment outside, I mean, a person that's not married and has sex outside, the punishment is 100 lashes and banishment, but not death. Because adultery is worse than fornication. Okay? And to show how bad illegal sex is, Allah says in the Quran, in the interpretation and meaning, do not approach unlawful sexual intercourse. It is an immorality. It's an evil way. This is the proof as to how Allah hates all types of adultery. It's evil. It's evil. And again, adultery is the committing of illegal sexual intercourse in the vagina or the anus. Again, how do we define adultery? It can be a married person or a single person. What it is the committing of illegal intercourse in the vagina or the anus. That's what throws in sodomy, homosexuality. Homosexuality is a form of adultery. Okay, so again, that's what Zina or adultery refers to, committing illegal sexual intercourse in the vagina or in the anus. And again, if the perpetrator is male or female or married or not, if the person is male or female and is married, then they are to be stoned to death. For example, you are a married man and you are having intercourse with a woman who is not your wife. Your punishment is stoning to death. That's what the companions did. That's what the caliphs did. That's what the prophet did. Okay? We have a hadith about this. And also Allah says in the Quran, and when an old man or an old woman commits adultery, inevitably stone each one of them as a deterrent. Okay? So stoning to death. This is the punishment for adultery. It doesn't matter if you were a woman or a man. If you were married and had sex outside of marriage, oh my God. In America, this happens all the time. Married people have sex outside of marriage all the time. Half of them wouldn't be living if they were in an Islamic state. Does everybody understand that? And why is it that there is death for adultery? Because it's worse than fornication. You're married. You're exposing your wife and your family to diseases. Also, you're hurting another family. You're also exposing society. So this is why the punishment is death. Okay? So again, that's, and we're going to skip over this right here. All of this is just going into more detail, explaining it, you know, but you guys understand what adultery is. Now, what about fornication? Adultery occurs if the person is married and has illegal sexual intercourse. That's death, stoning to death. But what if I'm not married? I got a boyfriend. Hello. Well, to commit fornication, which is to have sexual intercourse in the anus or the vagina without being married, the punishment is not death, but instead 100 lashes, which is almost just as bad if you can survive 100 lashes. And this is based on the Quran. Allah says in the interpretation of the meaning, the unmarried man or the unmarried woman found guilty of sexual intercourse, lash each one of them 100 lashes. 100 lashes, guys. So for all of you who got boyfriends, all of you who got girlfriends, if you were living in an Islamic country, hello, goodbye, 100 lashes. And again, fornication is when you have sex in the anus or vagina without being married. And also, we're not supposed to take pity on these people either. If a person is found guilty of adultery and the sentencing is carried out of stoning to death, we're not supposed to feel sorry for them. They didn't feel sorry for you or society when they were doing what they were doing. They didn't feel sorry for their families that they were hurting. So why do you feel? And even with the fornicator, we're not supposed to feel sorry for them. They didn't feel sorry when they was doing what they were doing. So that's what Allah means when he says, do not take pity for them. Just carry out the punishment and don't feel bad about it. Okay? No mercy to these people. They had no mercy when they were doing what they were doing. And also, I want you guys to remember, too, in the case of fornication, not only does that person in Islam receive 100 lashes, but also to be banished for a year. They're supposed to be banished from that town or that city or that country for a year. Executed the punishment of lashing and banishing the fornicator. Also, Abu Bakr did that. So did Umar. So again, adultery occurs when a person is married and has sex outside. Okay? That's death. Fornication occurs when you are not married and you have illegal sexual intercourse. The punishment is 100 lashings and banishment. Also another hadith. When an unmarried man commits fornication with an unmarried female, they should receive 100 lashes and banishment for 1 year. Okay? We're going to skip over this stuff about slaves. We don't have any slaves. You guys are not slaves. I want you guys to ponder that. Those of you who are out there fornicating, I want you to fear Allah. Okay? All right. Also, again, Islam protects us from suspicion. Like, again, you can be jealous of me. You can accuse me of having sex with my coworkers or sex with my clients. That's suspicion. Where's your proof? Okay, this is why Allah says when you make the accusation of fornication, when you make the accusation of adultery, you got to have the witnesses unless that person confesses. Now, if I come to you and say, confess, if I could not come to you, but if I go confess to the ruler that I have fornicated, then that's different. They have to issue the punishment to me, which will be 100 lashes and banishment. Or if I come to the ruler and confess to him that I have committed adultery, then his sentence is carried out. But if I don't confess, you have to bring 4 witnesses. 4 witnesses. 4 witnesses that can swear that they saw me in the action. They saw me in the action. The action is not kissing. The action is not winking. The action is knocking boots. Of course, in the vagina or the anus. Y'all understand that? So just because you saw me kissing a man, that ain't enough. That's not intercourse in the vagina or the anus. That's kissing with the mouth. That may be a different punishment. But that ain't death. That ain't the 100 lashings. Just because you saw me wink at a woman or wink at a man doesn't mean I had sex with him. Okay? So again, Allah made it so that you have to have witnesses. And those witnesses are 4. 4 witnesses. Why did they slander and not produce 4 witnesses? Okay? And again, when we bring the witnesses, there's conditions. Must testify against the adulterer or the fornicator. They must testify that they saw the person engage in the action. Even with the case of a sodomy, you have to testify that you saw that man having sex with another man. You actually saw those 2 men engage in anal sex, or that woman engage in sex with a man. And also the 4 witnesses must be men. 4 male witnesses. They do not accept the testimony of a woman. They do not accept the testimony of an evil person. Can anybody tell me why they won't accept the testimony of a woman? I'll tell you why. Women are vindictive creatures. I'm a woman, so I know. And I can say it. If I want to be vindictive, I can. A woman is so vindictive that she can outsmart Shaitan. And we women know it. A woman can be so jealous. She can want to see you fail that she'll lie. She'll swear and lie against you. So you have to bring forth 4 male witnesses. Men don't suffer with that type of vindictiveness as women do. Okay? And the men must be men who are not known for being liars. They must be men who are respected. If this is a man that's known for being a thief or a liar, they ain't going to take his testimony either. Or if he got dirty hands, they're not going to take his testimony either. It has to be 4 just men. 4 just men who say that they actually saw these people having sexual intercourse in the anus or the vagina. Okay? So Allah made it kind of hard. Since this is a crime, adultery is a crime that brings about death if you're married, and 100 lashes. Allah made it hard for people to be accused. Just because you saw me sitting in a restaurant eating dinner with a man doesn't mean I'm having sex with him. Even if you saw me kissing a man, that ain't good enough. Even if you saw me with a man and he had his arm around me, that ain't good enough. You have to have seen us in the bed doing it. Everybody got that? And if you do not produce the 4 witnesses, then you will be punished. Allah says in the Quran, the interpretation and meaning, those who do not produce 4 witnesses, lash them 80 stripes, 80 lashes. So if you're going to accuse me of adultery, you're going to accuse me of fornicating, you're going to say, oh, I saw Sister Laila. She was walking with a man and he had his arm around her and they kissed each other. She's committing fornication. Oh, really? If you can't bring 4 witnesses, then you will receive 80 lashes for accusing a woman unjustly. Everybody understand that? So yes, this is one of the crimes that brings about capital punishment in Islam, adultery if you're married, and it brings about 100 lashes if you're not married, but Allah made it hard. Okay, you have to have those witnesses. And again, how does homosexuality fall in here? This. Well, what is the meaning of adultery? What is the meaning of zina? Zina is to have illegal sexual intercourse in the anus or the vagina. Homosexuality. This is against all religions. Homosexuality, you're having intercourse in the anus with another man. Okay, what does the law say about sodomy? He says in the interpretation, the meaning, do you commit such immorality as no one has before you? Indeed, you approach men with desire instead of women. You are a transgressing people. And so the punishment with homosexuality is to be executed the same as in the case of adultery. Okay? It's haram. It's filthy. This was the sin of the people of Lot. In fact, guys, if a person is found guilty of homosexuality, there is no lashing. This brings about the death penalty. They are to be executed, whether they are married or not. You guys understand that? And that includes women too. Any man who lusts and has intercourse with other men, any woman who has intercourse with other women, if found guilty of such, you are to be executed. That's what the companions of the prophet did. They did not differ on killing sodomites. In fact, some of them used to throw them off a building. Throw them off a building to kill them and then throw rocks at them. Okay? And again, that's the opinion of all the companions. Ibn Rajab said a sodomite is to be killed whether he is a married man or not. That's the opinion of Imam Ahmed. Everybody. Also in another hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said, if you find anyone who commits the sin of the people of Lot, kill the one who does it and the one who's having it done to them. So kill the upper and the lower, both of them. And that goes for women too. That goes for women too who engage in this. And it's really sad because homosexuals worldwide, including in the Muslim countries, I'm sure you guys have heard the stories. It's true. There's a lot of homosexuality in Saudi Arabia. Hello. A lot of homosexuality in the Muslim countries, guys. If these people are caught, if they are caught, confession or 4 witnesses, that's the death penalty for them. Okay? What about this? What if you're married to a man and he tries to have intercourse with you in your vagina? This is haram. If you're married to a man who tries to have intercourse with you in your vagina, you tell him no, and you should report him immediately to your guardian. Okay? So he can be disciplined. This is a major sin. And if he tries it again, then you should be divorced. Any woman who's married to a man who tries to have intercourse with her in her vagina, she should divorce him immediately. Because this is a major sin. Allah commands us in the Quran, we can only have intercourse with our wives in their vagina. And that's it, not the rectum. Okay? So thus, guys, those are the sins of adultery. Adultery includes having illegal sexual intercourse in the vagina if you're married and unmarried. It also includes homosexuality. Also, incest falls in this category. and rape. That's why in an Islamic country, if you are accused and found guilty of incest, this is the death penalty too. You violated this person. The same with rape, the death penalty there too. Okay? Be very careful. You know, we talk about Sharia law. Okay? How many of you can live by Sharia law? Because how many of you are doing filthy things that you shouldn't do, such as fornicating, adulterating, incesting, raping? If you were living in an Islamic state, you'd be dealt with real quick. How many of you are having rectal intercourse with your wives? You'll be dealt with really quick. Okay? All right, so we'll stop right here for today. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about the punishment for slander. Okay? Not that many crimes in Islam bring capital punishment. Death is only for murder, which it should be, intentional murder. Also, adultery, that means having intercourse when you are married. You know, those are the few crimes that bring about the capital punishment for us in Islam. You know, other crimes such as stealing brings a different punishment. Slander, a different punishment. Okay, but not death. Homosexuality is death. Okay, so we'll stop right here for today. If you guys haven't. Sunnahfollowers, protectors of the Sunnah. Sunnahfollowers.